Tonight, Q calls out Alex Jones, Jack Posobiec, and Jerome Corsi as we learn more about the Uranium One connections to the Clinton Foundation and many other things. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. For those of you who don't know, I start every episode by saying thank you to all my subscribers because there's new subscribers every day. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button already, I encourage you to come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications to be notified when these videos get posted. So tonight is a special episode as I am here reporting live from the swamp, aka Washington, D.C., as there is incredible things going down here with Alex Jones storming Marco Rubio in an on-camera interview. And we have Jack Dorsey testifying on Capitol Hill with Sheryl Sandberg from Facebook, and other major things developing with Judge Kavanaugh and his confirmation hearings. So again, welcome to the show. I am here in DC. Right now I'm in the swamp and it is swampy. It's about 90 degrees during the day and it's about 80 degrees at night. And I'm here on a personal vacation. I wanted to come and see the Capitol and take my family to do some nice things here. And it just so happened that I'm here during one of the most important and crucial times of the last year, I would say, with everything that's going down here and the session coming back in and Judge Kavanaugh going through his confirmations. And just look at what Alex Jones has done. But Q calls out what Alex Jones is doing with Jerome Corsi and Jack Posobiec and why they are so threatened by him. So, with that being said, before we go any further, I want you guys to know that if you want to get caught up on the last few Q posts and what we talked about, covering those, I encourage you to come here on the landing page and watch these last few videos. Now, it's very funny to me that, in this last video, I very much went headfirst into dealing with Jack Posobiec and his reporting about this microchip and how Q's a hoax and how he didn't give any evidence. He just made this broad, vague reporting. And as I explained in that episode, if you guys want to watch it, they fear us because not only are we getting the truth and giving the truth, but what takes them millions of dollars to put together a network to disseminate this information, to control the message, we can break through with a micro and a computer. And that terrifies them because they're going to lose control. So watch these last few videos if you want to get caught up. Especially watch this one. It'll make this video that we're going to cover the Q posts in make a whole lot more sense. And if you're scratching your head going, what's this guy talking about? What's QAnon? I encourage you to come here, watch this video, What is QAnon, The Great Awakening? It's going to give you a lot of great information on how, what QAnon, The Great Awakening is, how to find the information, how to research, how to get involved, where to go to find it, what kind of the decorum etiquette is. All that information is found here in this video, and I really encourage you guys to go watch that. So, and share it too. If you want to red pill your friends, share this video. But we're going to jump right in. And like I said, I am here in the swamp right now. And it is incredible to be here in this time. And I'm going to go down and we're going to be, checking out stuff on Capitol Hill tomorrow and all down the National Mall. And it's going to be going down. So this is a great time to be here. It's a great time to be alive. And I'm very thankful to be here reporting for you. Hopefully there'll be pictures to come. I'll post those either on Twitter or I'll try to get them up in a video or some form like that. And that being said, let's just jump into the latest Q post. So here's the latest Q post. First, it gives us this screenshot from Q, right? It says, basically, I'll just read it to you. It says, as the Russians gradually assumed control of Uranium One in 3 separate transactions from 2009 to 2013, Canadian records show a flow of cash made its way to the Clinton Foundation. Uranium One's chairman used his family foundation to make 4 donations totaling $2.35 million. Those contributions were not publicly disclosed by the Clintons, despite an agreement Mrs. Clinton had struck with the Obama White House to publicly identify all donors. Other people with ties to the company made donations as well. And shortly after the Russians announced their intention to acquire a majority stake in Uranium One, Mr. Clinton, Bill, received $500,000 for a Moscow speech from a Russian investment bank with links to the Kremlin. And this is stuff we already know, but I mean, let's keep putting connecting these dots. So the first one gives us this link to this FBI vault set of documents, right? And what do these documents basically show? Well, when you scroll down and you start reading through them, what becomes quite obvious is that this letter here from Jeb Hensarling that was CC'd to the Honorable, Maxine Waters, the ranking member on the oversight or the committee's chief oversight counsel, or actually, excuse me, from the Committee on Financial Services, is basically saying, look, dear Secretary Lew, there's been a lot of reports that Hillary Clinton has violated, the basically the CFIUS regulations when it comes to the way that this Uranium One deal was approved and her connections, blah, blah, blah. But what the ultimate takeaway from this is that this was a way for them to probe what the Department of Treasury and or the Department of Justice were doing in their investigation of Hillary Clinton. So a way of fishing for information that they could use to give, presumably, to Hillary Clinton in order to help her formulate a defense and to undermine the investigation itself into the criminal allegations that were being raised through actual evidence that was being uncovered regarding the connections between Hillary Clinton, the Clinton Foundation, Bill Clinton, Rosatom, and Uranium One, the deal made with the Russians. So that's what this is, I think, wanting us to point our attention to. It says, letter from the Committee on Financial Services, Maxine Waters, California ranking member. Then it gives the financial services.house website here that actually shows us who is on it. The 115th had Jeb Hensarling, was the Texas chairman of this. And then you can see there's a lot of other members on here who basically, Keith Ellison, I mean, you go through the whole list here of people, Bill Huizenga, obviously up here, Maxine Waters, and others. Now, what's important to note about this, though, is that was this letter basically a way for them to probe information out of the Department of Justice or the Department of Treasury into their ongoing investigation that they could then share with Hillary Clinton to help her formulate a defense and or undermine the actual investigation itself? It says, how do you obstruct oversight? How do you obtain inside knowledge to closed-door financial investigations? Maxine Waters, California ranking member. Those who are loudest have the most to fear. Hide. And then it gives this video from Fox News where Tucker Carlson talks about her and her mansion. So we're going to watch this really quick, and I want you guys to enjoy it.
Well, since we live in a world, excuse me, where pro wrestling references are now the very same thing as violent threats, one wonders what to make of remarks that California Congresswoman and progressive hero Maxine Waters recently made about HUD Secretary Ben Carson. During a speech on Saturday in New Orleans, Waters said that when Carson appears before her congressional committee, quote, "I'm going to take his ass apart," excuse me. Quote, "Carson knows nothing about the mission of HUD," Waters continued. "He doesn't care about people in public housing. He believes that if you are poor, it is your fault, and he doesn't know the difference between an immigrant and a slave," whatever that means. Now, we've mocked Maxine Waters before in this show, but we should take her seriously on this subject. Congresswoman Waters is a confirmed expert on the question of housing, especially her own housing. Consider where she lives. In a 6,000 square foot, $4.3 million mansion in one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Los Angeles. Now, how'd she afford a place like that after having spent the last 40 years working in government? We'd hate to speculate. How does she keep getting reelected despite not living in her own congressional district? No clue there either. The district Waters actually represents in Congress has the second highest percentage of African American residents in the state of California. Now, the neighborhood where Waters actually lives is just 6% black, or as she might put it herself, if she didn't live there, it's segregated, like 1950s level segregated. And as we mentioned, it's really, really rich.
So yeah, and that's Tucker's take on it. And I think it's very important to look at. What Tucker is trying to say is, how did Maxine Waters become so rich? What kind of influence is she selling on the side, allegedly, if she were to make that much extra money? Is that what's going on? That's really the question I think that's being posed. So that being said, it says here, money talks Q. And so you can see right here basically what the whole implication of this is, that Maxine Waters asked for this information, or was CC'd on this information by one of her committee friends asking for it. Then maybe, possibly, allegedly, she just gave that information to Hillary to help her fight this investigation, to undermine it, to hide her own guilt, as Q puts here, hide. So that's what it is. And did she do it in exchange for money? That's a very good question. I would love to know the answer to that. If she actually did it, did she do it for money? Now, here we go as the next post. And it's Q responding to an older post. And we read this in the last video where it talks about Hillary Clinton and her going on and on and on about how Brett Kavanaugh is this terrible person. And it's like 20 tweets. It's crazy. Now, it happens again here. Of course, you have Hillary Clinton coming out and saying, if Brett Kavanaugh becomes a Supreme Court justice, will he help gut or overturn Roe v. Wade, which legalized abortion in America? Yes, of course he will. Well, thank God. I hope he does. I pray to God they get rid of that, because I don't care what you say, and I've been very adamant about this in the past. Any type of abortion is murder. That's where I'm at. And if you guys don't like that, I'm sorry. But you can definitely agree to disagree at least. So it says a few weeks before Kavanaugh's name appeared on President Trump's shortlist for a new justice, Kavanaugh praised the dissent in the Roe v. Wade case and called former Supreme Court Chief Justice William Rehnquist his hero, noting that he clearly wanted to overrule Roe. Interesting. So again, what Q told us in the last one kind of painted the picture of saying is that Hillary is terrified. First of all, Justice Gorsuch was put into place. The plan for Hillary on her end was to actually have first, you would have appointed Merrick Garland, then they would have appointed Loretta Lynch, and then Ruth Bader, and that was obviously, so you have Antonin Scalia died, then Merrick Garland would have replaced him, then you have Anthony Kennedy step down, and you would have had Loretta Lynch replace him, and then you would have had Ruth Bader Ginsburg step down, because she's pretty much like ancient at this point. I mean, I'm surprised that she's still functioning, but the plan was basically to replace her with somebody who's yet to be determined, but another liberal left-leaning judge, and they were going to take over the whole Supreme Court. They were going to go after the Second Amendment, they were going to go after the First Amendment, and they were basically going to destroy our country by basically legislating from the judicial, meaning they would use the Supreme Court to create laws, and that was not what the Supreme Court was designed to do. The Supreme Court was designed to basically litigate the constitutional validity of cases and to make objective, unbiased, non-political decisions based on laws that exist. And if the law is not written, obviously there has to be some kind of interpretation. But my opinion of what a Supreme Court justice is tasked to do is to be a strict originalist, to read the Constitution as it was written, and to enforce it and to make rulings based off of the original text of that document. Now, that's just my opinion. But at the same time, if you look at how they've tried to destroy this court, they're trying to use the Supreme Court as a way to supersede both other branches of the government, with the executive and the legislative, to override them, to overrule them, and to basically, like I said, make laws from the bench. And that is not what the function of the Supreme Court is. But lo and behold, they realize now that they never thought she would lose. And guess what is happening now? You actually have the reality of the situation being Neil Gorsuch was appointed, Brett Kavanaugh is going to be appointed, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg is going to hold on as long as she can. But I have a feeling that mind is going to eventually start to go. At that age, and her, just her appearance and her, the way she talks about things, I don't think she has much more time left. And I think that's why they're terrified about Kavanaugh. That's why they're even more terrified about her. And that's why she even came out and said that she's going to stay on. Ruth Bader Ginsburg came out and said, "Oh, I'm going to stay on for another 5 years at least," or something like that, which is ridiculous, because when you're in your upper 80s going into your 90s, and you're basically sliding quickly into senility with the kind of nonsense that you're putting out there, I don't understand how we're tasking those kind of individuals to be the supreme justices of the law in our country. But that's just me, that's my personal opinion. I mean, I'm not saying that older folks can't work and be productive and have, longevity and great careers. But there is something to be said for when you're just getting to that age where it's past the point of normal tenure, in my opinion. And that's just me. It's a lifetime appointment, so they can stay on as long as they want. But it would be very fair to say that a lot of justices have decided to, step down at certain points because they see that they don't want to go to that extent and be that old on the bench. So, to me, it's all political. It's all because we know Ruth Bader Ginsburg's past and what she's been involved in when it comes to, everything from her connections to Vietnam to the socialist connections with Barack Obama and their little circles that they ran in. But that's neither here nor there. The reality is, look, you have this coming from Hillary Clinton. She's going on in these like Twitter rants saying, as a federal judge, Kavanaugh tried to prevent a young undocumented woman in government custody from exercising her right to an abortion. Like, what? What in the world? In my opinion, it's like you take the 0.0000001% of the time in the situation and say, see, this is the reason why Kavanaugh can't be trusted, because the one time out of 125 million times that you would ever even have this happen, a woman who is in custody, an undocumented woman, wanted to murder her child inside of her womb, which that is what abortion is, guys. You're not going to change my mind on that. Sorry. But that's what he said. Oh, she shouldn't be able to do it. Now, I'm sure Kavanaugh, I think I heard him articulate why he said, he said she could be able to do it, but she shouldn't be able to do it for certain reasons because she was in, detention, and, anybody who's legally here and wants to do it has the legal right, so on and so forth, which is fine because that's the law. And I'm not an advocate for breaking the law, but I think the law should be changed because I don't think we should have laws that advocate that kind of mass genocide as we have here in America with this right to an abortion or right to murder. So that's just one man's opinion. I'm going to put it out there every time because I would never back down from that because I truly believe in my heart that those lives truly matter. If there's any lives that matter, you have the Black Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter. How about the lives of children? Do they matter? Do the lives of unborn children matter? That's my question. So, and then just think about what they do with these kids. They use them for testing. They use them for genetic, research. They dissect them. They brutally and gruesomely, destroy life, and then they use it to enrich themselves. It's beyond anything I think you could have ever even imagined in the most horrific of dystopian science fiction novels or whatever. Or fiction novels. So here it goes. Kavanaugh ruled to let CEOs decide to deny their employees insurance coverage. And she just goes on and on and on about abortion and health care and women's rights and how Kavanaugh, call your senators. But she's freaking out. She's terrified because, like I said, the plan has been broken. They do not have that stranglehold on the Supreme Court. And guess what, guys? We're going to talk about it here. But there are two, courts in our country, and there's a court, civil criminal law that's for, or criminal law that pertains to people who commit crimes in America, and then there's kind of a military court that applies to people who, even if they are U.S. citizens, if you go to Afghanistan and you go to the Taliban and say, hey, I'm going to help you defeat, or I'm going to help you sabotage, this military base or go attack them. That is treason, and that is a great example as to what we have basically alleged to have uncovered with the Hillary Clinton emails, the pay for play, the scandal with China basically having access to her emails in real time that led to the alleged deaths or possible deaths of deaths and imprisonment, I should say, of 18 to 20 CIA assets in China back in 2010. Guys, this is not made up. In Benghazi, American men and women and patriots who were working and loving this country and working for it lost their lives allegedly because of this woman. And I think that we cannot just leave that by the side or just walk away from that because that is very important. So With that being said, that's what we went through, and it says being afraid is quote unquote what Q calls it, and then it says witch hunt Q. And that's all this is. They start with President Trump, then they go after Kavanaugh, and they use their same little talking points, and nothing really ever changes. So here's what we wanted to get to, the meat and potatoes of it. It's Jack Posobiec. And again, guys, in the last video, I went into kind of a little bit of one of my little epic rants when I went into, in this video, about Jack Posobiec and how he was coming out and calling Q a hoax and going with his Source microchip, which I just found hilarious. He's, microchip, that's my guy. That's like literally what I see Jack doing. It's like, they'll believe that. It's a little snake in the grass, in my opinion. But here we go, and it's an Anon basically posting this picture of Jack saying, wait, what? You're telling me Q just posted again? But Micro told me he was ending the LARP. I feel so used. So I'm going to say screwed. And then he wipes his tears away. But then it says, Q responds to that Jack Posobiec post, and it's very interesting because, I went into this whole thing in the last episode about Jack Posobiec and that story from OAN, and you guys responded basically pretty well in saying that, you see it the way that I kind of see it, that, first of all, I've reached out to Jack. I asked him to give a response. He hasn't, commented back. And I basically asked him, I said, if you really believe that, it's microchip and pamphlet and on, and all these people are Q, let me ask you something. Do they run President Trump's Twitter? Are they sitting in Air Force One giving us pictures from, the window seat? No. That's the simple answer to it. And like I said, don't forget that you have this ex-intelligence officer from the Obama administration. This is Jack Posobiec, by the way. This ex-intelligence officer from the Obama administration who was basically kicked out for leaking intelligence, classified intelligence via Twitter. And then he became a little minion of Alex Jones. And lo and behold, from there, all of a sudden he's on OAN News. So Q actually answers this question for us, which I think is really great. It says, ask yourself a simple, logical question. Why are the majority of Q attacks by pro-MAGA supporters coming from Alex Jones Mossad-backed and or Alex Jones known associates? Why are we a threat to them? Why not simply publish an original picture plus minus 1, 2, 3 seconds to establish credibility? Why was this done in the past? We knew this type of attack was coming, predictable, fake news, attacks will only intensify Q. And yes, that's exactly what I was just saying. That I'm like, Jack Posobiec does this whole interview with his microchip, his little InfoWars Zach 2.0, as one of the commenters in the last video put it, and I love that description. It was Zach 2.0 was microchip. And but you see this, and it says Mossad back. That's so important to note. So these people hovering in Alex Jones, orbit are basically a lot of Mossad. Okay, and you guys don't know who Mossad is. That's the Israeli intelligence. And why should we be worried about that? Well, to be quite honest, because it's foreign intelligence agency, and they don't represent the actual interests of the United States. But further reading into this, you can say whatever you want about Alex Jones. I've tried to stay pretty neutral with him because the fact of the matter is that what he did is good and it's bad. It's like, he red pilled me to a degree. I learned a lot and wanted to study more because of it. But then as I got more involved in it, I realized that even he was not the arbiter of truth and the end all know all. And it seems now quite obvious looking at it in hindsight that everything Alex Jones has done is really, really worrisome. I was even telling someone today about how it just worries me to think of how Alex Jones is creating, he's making himself into this kamikaze and he's crashing into the establishment. And it's almost as if he's intentionally trying to fast track the banning and censorship of information on the internet by being just so bombastic and irrational and thoughtless. Because as thoughtful as he may be at times, and as in depth as he can be in his research and reporting and his information that he gets from his sources, in the same exact breath, he goes on to Capitol Hill and starts, harassing lawmakers, as we can see here with this little exchange between Marco Rubio today and Alex Jones on Capitol Hill, where he's up there basically, he's hitting the senator. I mean, I don't mean hitting. He patted him on the back, and he's calling him a liar during a CNBC interview. Now, I know a lot of you guys like that, and personally, I kind of like it too, because it's what you want to see happen to a lot of these senators and people on Capitol Hill who have consistently said one thing and done another. But in the same token, it's just worrisome to me to think about the possibility that ever since Alex Jones has really spearheaded this fight against the censorship, it seems like the companies have just responded in kind and escalated to where they're banning people off of the entire social platforms. And that was something that we didn't see not too long ago, but now it just continues to escalate. Now you could say, a lot of people can make the argument that would have happened anyway. None of this is really cause and effect when you talk about Alex Jones. He's just basically a byproduct of it. But to me, having watched the situation evolve, having watched it continue to evolve, and having watched the fact that a guy like him continues to propagate these anti-Q rhetorics and to promote individuals who are anti-Q. Now, I'm not saying Q is the end-all, know-all of everything, the arbiter of truth, but I am saying this, that when you have somebody in this position that's trying to silence somebody else in a position trying to spread information and do almost the exact same thing that he himself is doing, do you think it's because he truly believes he's doing it for your benefit, or is he doing it to protect himself, to protect his empire, to protect what he's built, and to protect what he's basically created up to this point? And then could there be outside influences on him from certain intelligence agencies like the Mossad? These are important questions to ask, guys, and I'm going to ask them because I think they warrant asking. And if I do see Alex, I'll be sure to ask him myself, and I'm sure he'll have a very, very thoughtful response for me. But that, to me, is just so crazy. It just blows my mind. It makes me think, it just makes me go back and just kind of re-examine Alex and say, what are you really doing? And that's all I want to know is, like, what is he really doing? I know a lot of you are going to say that he's a truther, a lot of you are going to say this, a lot of you are going to say that, but it is just incredible to see Jack Posobiec taking on Q, to see Jerome Corsi, the way he flip-flops around, and then his connections to whoever, and Alex Jones, and you guys let me know what you think in the comments. But then Q says, why are we a threat to them? That's what I was just getting. There should be no reason why Alex Jones should have any animosity or feel threatened by Q, because Q is basically telling us a lot of the stuff that Alex has been trying to tell us but has been beating around the bush on for so long. A lot of times, you'll turn on Alex, and trust me, I used to watch the show fairly regularly, and you'd turn on the show and he'd be like, I have a source. He's told me this, but I can't tell you. I just can't tell you because I just don't know what to do. And you're like sitting there going, well, why don't you just say it? If you think something and you want to share it with us, just share it, and then let us maybe think for ourselves instead of saying that you have to think and think for us and then tell us what you think. That's what I don't like, that filter there. That's what really gives me pause. Now, the next one says, why not simply publish an original picture? So I've said this. There's how many original photos that never existed, you can't find online, that aren't out there, were given to us by Q, of things like from inside of Air Force One, surveillance photos before the Singapore summit. All of this stuff. There's multiple other examples. I'm sure you guys can think of at least a half dozen off the top of your head. But that, to me, is what is so worrisome and about the whole thing. It says, why was this done in the past? Because they knew the attack was coming. It was predictable, it's fake news, and the attacks will only intensify. Then Q gives us an example of these photos. This one here, giving us a photo from inside of Air Force One, basically. And then Q says, regarding why not post an original picture plus 1, 2, 3 seconds to establish credibility. Then it says, example 1, Air Force One. Air Force One pictures posted on November 9th and May 22nd. And it says 2-second stream, prepared, predictable. This is not a game. These people are stupid. Q. So whatever it is, they're prepared and they're basically ready for it. By basically looking at what we've established here. You can't watch that report by Jack Posobiec where he talks about with microchip and how Q's a hoax without thinking to yourself, why are you not talking about Trump's Twitter? President Trump's Twitter? Why are you not talking about the pictures that we've gotten? Why are you not talking about all the proofs we've gotten through foreknowledge of events that happen after Q predicts that they will happen? And the only reason is because they're terrified of the fact that this is real. Now, here's a New York Times article talking about Jerome Corsi, of course, who's going to be called in on Friday to testify for the Mueller investigation about what? About Roger Stone and his connections with WikiLeaks and how they all knew it was coming beforehand, because the whole premise now of the Robert Mueller investigation is going to be that Roger Stone and WikiLeaks worked together to get the information to Trump about Hillary Clinton and about how and that it was all the Russians, basically. Now, that's fine. Whatever. If it was the Russians, okay. But what they never account for is what I point out right here, which just drives me crazy. It says, Mr. Mueller's team appears to be zeroing in on Mr. Stone as a possible nexus between the Trump campaign and WikiLeaks, which was used by Russian intelligence officers, which they don't verify that whatsoever. They just make that, flippant comment, to spread information stolen from Democrats. And they just put in this one little term. Okay, why don't we talk about the information that was uncovered? Why don't we talk about the fact that inside of the Podesta emails, we heard all of that weird talk about handkerchiefs and pizza and pasta and all of these weird correspondences about how they're going to, game the system and rig it against Bernie and steal, in their own little code talk, they're going to, take the nomination for Hillary. Nobody wants to examine that. And that's the reason why she lost, is because the emails themselves were never refuted. It's not like John Podesta got out and said, yeah, these are all fake. There's nothing real about these emails. No, it's actually quite the opposite. They've been completely silent about it, and they say, they stole my emails. They stole my emails. Okay, whatever happened, it was a whistleblower. Presumably, out of my opinion, it was Seth Rich, saw what was going on, high-level worker, leaked those emails to WikiLeaks. That's what happened. But they want to talk about the nexus between Trump campaign and WikiLeaks, as opposed to the actual crimes reported and uncovered in WikiLeaks, Podesta emails. So, do with that as you may. I just thought that was interesting to point out. And the next one is, do you believe in coincidences? And this is a Politico article talking about these 3 or 4 Trump allies, Mark Meadows, Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz, and Lee Zeldin, who are asking Trump to declassify the 20 pages from the FISA, Carter Page FISA, the 20 redacted pages. They want those declassified immediately. And why? Because they uncover crimes of the largest magnitude. If you talk about election meddling, well, how about the sitting president using the FBI and the DOJ to spy on a campaign of the opposition party to his? That's not, tampering and meddling in an election. But we're worried about Russian bots. I'm sorry. We shouldn't even talk about that because it's not what they want us to talk about. Now, here you have a Sarah A. Carter article that talks about President Trump may declassify the 25-page docs Congress wants. Well, I can't wait. Please, Mr. President, I implore you, please declassify those. And I know it's going to be tough, but the truth has to come out because we have to vindicate ourselves from this gaslighting that's been going on for so long by the mainstream media. Now, this is a YouTube video that actually is this Judge Kavanaugh, Lindsey Graham exchange at the confirmation hearing, day 2, of course. And I want to show this to you because it is so incredible. And Q points it out to us to understand something important. It says, interesting line of questions. Normal, military law versus criminal law. Think executive order. Think HRC panic. Do you believe in coincidences? The more you know, or you have more than you know, Q. Now, what this video is going to show us is Lindsey Graham gets into this weird line of questioning that actually starts talking about how you have 2 different sets of laws or criminal applications of the law, and that one's military and one's kind of just a normal criminal. But I'll let the video kind of stand on its own. So I want to show this to you guys.
Of military force, which is still in effect, and that was passed, of course, on September 14th, 2001, 3 days later.
Let's talk about the law in war. Is there a body of law called the law of armed conflict?
There is such a body, Senator.
Is there a body of law that's called basic criminal law?
Yes, Senator.
Are there differences between those two bodies of law?
Yes, Senator.
From an American citizen's point of view, do your constitutional rights follow you? If you're in Paris, does the Fourth Amendment protect you as an American from your own government?
From your own government, yes.
Okay. So, if you're in Afghanistan, do your constitutional rights protect you against your own government?
If you're an American in Afghanistan, you have constitutional rights as against the U.S. government.
Is there a long-standing...
That's
Right.
long-settled law.
Isn't there also a long-settled law that it goes back to the Eisenstrater case? I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, Johnson versus Eisentrager.
Right. That American citizens who collaborate with the enemy have considered enemy combatants.
They can be.
Can be.
They can be. They're sometimes criminally prosecuted, sometimes treated in the military.
Well, let's talk about can be. I think
Under Supreme Court precedent.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a Supreme Court decision that said that American citizens who collaborated with Nazi saboteurs were tried by the military. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I think a couple of them were executed.
Yeah.
So if anybody doubts, there's a long-standing history in this country that your constitutional rights follow you wherever you go, but you don't have a constitutional right to turn on your own government, collaborate with the enemy of the nation. You'll be treated differently. What's the name of the case, if you can recall, that reaffirmed the concept that you could hold one of our own as an enemy combatant if they were engaged in terrorist activities in Afghanistan? Are you familiar with that case?
Yeah, Hamdi.
Okay. So the bottom line is, I want every American citizen to know you have constitutional rights, but you do not have a constitutional right to collaborate with the enemy. There's a body of law well developed long before 9/11 that understood the difference between basic criminal law and the law of armed conflict. Do you understand those differences?
I do understand that there are different bodies of law, of course, Senator.
Okay, if you're...
So there you have it. That kind of lays it out for you, and I wanted to play that little clip because what that's basically saying, I mean, you guys can read it just as plain as day, is there's military law versus criminal law. And the executive order put forth by President Trump, of course, that rewrites the court-martial rulings and how that's going to take effect on January 1st, 2018 or 2019. That kind of stuff is what we're going to be looking forward to. And that's why HRC Hillary is in panic, because she understands that a guy like Brett Kavanaugh, Judge Kavanaugh, knows. Okay? They know. And Lindsey Graham knows. And they're all painting that picture for us clearly and vividly so that we can understand that there will not be two sets of law in this country. There will not be law for us and a different set of law for those who are in power. Okay, so finally, here's a message from Q+. And, we always love seeing these messages from Q+. And this is a Donald Trump tweet saying, treason. What more can I say? What more can I say? There are so many haters and there are so many people who just are ignorant and they just don't understand what's actually going on. But the reality is that President Trump's telling us here on Twitter, treason. It's like, danger, Will Robinson, danger. That's literally what we're getting told here. And it just, to me, is... I mean, I don't know what else to say. Besides, if you look at it in the context of... where and how it was posted, you would obviously see that it is saying here treason right after it's talking about the failing New York Times and this little clip where the resistance op-ed where this guy penned an op-ed against the president, anonymously from within the White House. To me, these people are sick. These people are just complete liars, and they're criminals because they're leaking information, in my opinion, and they're gutless. That I like that. I think it's true. And look, this is what it is, guys. This is what we're in. It says, I'm Donald Trump here. I'm draining the swamp, and the swamp is trying to fight back. Don't worry, we will win. It's almost like Q telling us to trust the plan, right? So here in the next one, we actually have the old post from February 21st where Q defines a patriot and defines a traitor. Important because Q says, fellow patriots, and I think we've heard this message before actually, and it says, what you are about to learn should not only scare you, but intensify your resolve to take back control, freedom. The information that will become public will further demonstrate the criminal and corrupt pure evil abuse of power that the Hussein administration undertook in joint efforts with domestic and foreign dignitaries. The snowball has begun rolling. There is no stopping it now. D5, stay the course, trust the plan. Protective measures are in place. Remain brave. We knew this day would come, and it gives the video. The video that's going to get President Trump elected. This is a great video. I hope you guys watch it if you get a chance. I think we've seen it about a dozen times already on this channel, if not more. But it says, united we stand worldwide. Where we go one, we go all. We fight. Conspiracy no more. Q. Yeah, so that's where we're going to leave it. And I hope you guys take away from that what you will and use your own critical thinking and logical analysis and make your own decisions based on the information that's been presented here. Don't trust me, trust yourself. Now, that's pretty much going to wrap it up, but stick around. There's always a few things I want to talk about at the end here. First of all, if you're looking for a way to help the channel, the best way to do it is to come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. Again, share these videos, watch these videos if you want to get caught up. All of that helps big time as well. Also, scroll down and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights in the comment section because, like I say, we try to have our own QAnon research board at the end of each one of these videos where we don't just talk about Q posts, we talk about politics, culture, religion, everything in between. And there is an incredible group of people down there. So even if you can't comment, scroll down and just read through the comments. Trust me, you'll learn something you didn't know previous to watching this video. And just shout out to everybody who's so awesome down there in the comments. I read you guys like every day, and I see who's first, and I always see who's like right on top of it, and I'm so thankful for all you guys and your contributions. So, with that being said, a couple other things. Definitely come over here and check out justinformednews.com. As I said, this is the site. It's the beta site. We're working on it right now. It's kind of a work in progress, and I'm working with some developers, and we're trying to get it, basically completely optimized to be effectively a great source for you guys, and an effective source for you guys, or an effective tool, for you guys to use and to come and to share and to post and to, we're trying to get some forum communities up. We're trying to get some other, functionalities going on this website. But for now, it's just a good site if you want to go get more information, more Just Informed talk, articles I'll write, and other information like that. Go to justinformednews.com. Also, come find me on Twitter at Justin_formed. Again, that's at Justin_formed on Twitter. You can come smash the follow button. That makes a big deal, or that is a big deal, and I really appreciate it. And also, you can get all of the articles automatically get posted here. All my videos automatically get posted here. So if you want those notifications when these videos get posted, you can come follow me on Twitter, and that definitely will help you out big time. Now, a couple other things. If you're looking to help out the channel financially, I really encourage you guys to come over here and support the channel on Patreon, patreon.com. You can search Just Informed Talk, or you go to patreon.com/justinformedtalk. When you come here to the landing page, please, it makes a huge difference. You click this button, it's a monthly donation, you become a patron, and then once a month you can give as little as $1 to help keep this channel alive, keep it roaring, keep it moving. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate everyone who has come over here and clicked those or that button. And thank you so much to those who have given your continued support. I promise that I'll keep doing this 24/7, 365, even when I'm traveling, even when I'm not in my own element, and that's especially. Also, come over here and find me on GoFundMe. You can make for those of you who aren't interested in the monthly donation, you can come here to gofundme.com/just-informed. Again, gofundme.com/just-informed. Click this button. You can make a anonymous donation. You can make a one-time donation. You can make an anonymous one-time donation. And I'm so thankful for the support here. This is another way that you guys can contribute, and it makes a huge difference. And I'm so thankful to everyone who contributes. With that being said, let's take a moment here at the end to talk about the most important thing. And what is that? Well, as we know, it's God. And in these troublesome times when, we can really have a tendency to maybe doubt ourselves and to see this information as being, hard to follow, hard to really get on board with. And that's fine, you guys. Having a little bit of doubt, having a little bit of skepticism, those are good things. That's healthy. That means you're critically thinking. That means you're questioning. That means you're logically thinking. But remember, the one thing you should never have doubt in is God, and how great God is, and how God's grace is greater. And in that, I want to share this incredible verse from 2 Thessalonians, and it talks about how we should stand firm in God. And I want to share that with you because no matter what happens with Q and all of this stuff that we're talking about here, all this information, I can tell you right now that what's most important, truly, what's most important, is standing firm in God and standing firm in your love and connection to God. So let's read this. It's 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 13 and forward. It says, "But we must always thank God for you, brothers, loved by the Lord, because from the beginning God has chosen you for salvation through sanctification by the Spirit and through belief in the truth. He called you to this through our gospel, so that you might obtain the glory of our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, brothers, stand firm and hold to the traditions you were taught, either by our message or by our letter. May our Lord Jesus Christ himself and God our Father, who has loved us and given us eternal encouragement and good hope by grace, encourage your hearts and strengthen you in every good work and word." And yeah, that's the message I want to share with you. That's what I want to impart on you guys. When you guys are having doubt, when you're having doubt about your faith because of things happening maybe at home, with your family, or things happening with friends, or things happening with other, work, things you can't control. This is the message God wants you to know. God wants you to know, stand firm in your faith, stand firm in your belief in God, because it is what is going to deliver you. It's what's going to save you. It's what's going to deliver your eternal soul so that you may have eternal life. And it'll give you the strength to share that message with everyone in the world, because that's what God wants us to do, is to share this gospel. He doesn't want us to hold it in our own hearts. He wants us to hold it in our own hearts and share it with the whole world. We can't just keep it to ourselves. The whole point of the gospel is to spread the good word so that we can bless others by showing them the light of Jesus, showing them the light of eternal salvation, showing them the light of the forgiveness of God and God's grace. So remember, when you go out into the world and you have doubts and you have troubles and you have anxieties and you have fears and you have troubles or hardships, whatever it is, stand firm in your faith. Always thank God, because God has chosen you for salvation through sanctification by the Spirit and through belief in the truth. And we all know the one and only truth is God the Father. So, thank you all for watching. I really, really appreciate you guys checking this channel out and, joining the effort. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, now's a great time to do it. Come here, click the big red subscribe button. But I want to say thank you again for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. More updates from the swamp coming. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.